Hello to the world and to the kingdom citizen. I greet you in the precious holy name of Yeshua Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who said in his word, John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. John Curry, Ambassador, Pan-African, and welcome to the Embassy of the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth. If you want to follow this podcast, please subscribe to JC Global Embassy TV1. Ring the bell and hit the thumbs up button. Today I have a message for you. And I think it's a great message as it's coming on the 250 years of America being America. The message is entitled, Beyond White Jesus. Beyond White Jesus. And the origins of white Christian supremacy. The origin of white Christian supremacy. Beyond white Jesus and the origin of white Christian supremacy. As we go into it, I want you to understand that with the root tracking back to the early 17th century, it was called the inventing of whiteness, a concept in the 18th century colonial settlement. Far from being a latter development, the nexus was used to justify slavery, the displacement of indigenous people, and the construction of a racial hierarchy, which is no more than a wicked social construct designed to keep all other race groups below the white supremacy status. That many European nations joined the power grab of the so-called inventing whiteness, which is no such thing for the white race. They came together as nations in order to connect with Christianity and to join the white supremacy power system around the world. Before the nation of America was founded, this connection was fused by the doctrine of discovery. One of the people that was in the doctrine of discovery that kept things moving was Michelangelo. He was a painter. Michelangelo painted the first picture of Messiah, then called Jesus. But the name that his mother called him was Yeshua. This historical foundation, the root of Christianity, nationalism, extended to the doctrine of discovery. And that was in 1493, which established European and Christian superiority over all other cultures. It was at the Council of Laodicea in 325 AD under the Roman Empire Constantine, who basically signed over or legalized Christianity for the world. Now, how can you legalize something that Jesus started? How can you legalize something that God started? So Christianity became a religion with many different types of religiosity. And in that religion, Christianity went around the world, making people become Christians. And if they didn't make them become Christians, what they would do then, put them in slavery, take all of their land, rape their family members, rape their children as well as the mothers and fathers, because they was pushing Christianity around the world. What I want you to understand is that this not only has been going on for centuries, but it's still going on. The Roman Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity. Slavery basically started in 1512, continued through 1619, all the way up to 1883, through an executive order by President Abraham Lincoln, who shut slavery down, supposedly with the executive order. But I want you to also know that White too long, a scholar, Robert P. Jones, argued that white Christianity has an architect and sustainer of white supremacy. In essence, when you hear the word Christianity, you must think white supremacy. Well, how do I know this is true? Because I interviewed a few pastors and I asked them the question, can you be a white supremacist and a Christian at the same time? A few of them just kind of laughed about it and say, well, I'm not really sure. But one was so bold, he said to me, well, sir, it depends on your definition as a Christian. And while working in various places around supremacists, many of them would tell you that yes, white supremacy and Christianity are one. Many already knew that you could not be a Christian if you wasn't a white supremacist. In other words, they run together. Why? Because it's a power grab. It's designed to keep white people out front, keep them as first throughout this land. And as a result of that, there were many young Caucasian males that would prefer to call themselves white supremacists so they can be Christians, and vice versa. They want to be Christians so they can be white supremacists. This is where it is today. There are many that are talking about a possible race war in America. Some saying it's already started. But what I want you to understand that if God be for us, who can be against us? Something else that I want you to know that was going on way back in 84, was a young lady by the name of Kempa Vita. And she was 22 years old, a black woman, born in the Kingdom of the Congo, located in this present day Angola. Of the noble family in 1684, her crime was telling her people that Jesus was African, born in Banza, Congo, their own homeland. Kempavita was burned at the stake at July the 2nd, 1706, in the Kingdom of the Congo. She was accused of heresy, witchcraft. She was a threat to the missionary, those who were a part of the Catholic Church. This young black woman was letting those missionaries know that Messiah was not what Michelangelo painted. And as the missionaries of the Catholic Church went around the world, and they're still doing it, they was using Yeshua, Jesus, or shall we say, using him as a mascot, showing him to be white, blonde hair, blue eyes. And she was threatening that for the missionaries who were a part of the Catholic Church. Kempavita died planting the seed of African liberation, theology, and Pan-Africanism in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In the public, their own king had chosen Christianity. This was a black king that chose his Christianity because he did not want to listen to the young Kempavita tell him and tell them about how Messiah was black. And all of his apostles and all of his disciples was black as well. So when the image of the white preachers and actors came to Kenya playing as Jesus turned up on social media in July 2019, people were rightly stunned by the white supremacist undertone of the image that they had going around Kenya, that Jesus was still alive, and it was having the man to act like he was Messiah. And they claimed that the Kenyans wanted to see that because they really believed that the Messiah was white. The image of Jesus as black has also been popularized through artists, the project known as Via Disa, basically showing that Messiah was truly black. And this was going on in the city of Cameroon, the nation of Cameroon. They was doing everything in their power to get Africans to see Jesus as white rather than black. This theology structure was used to justify the enslavement of African people and the treatment of indigenous people. And later, we get to Jim Crow, and we get to the ideology often portrayed white Christians as noble despite their role in systematic injustice. White Christian. The story about William, he was hanged to death, and they went to church. White Christians went to church, and they celebrated the church. They celebrated what was going on. But then they was told that they want to meet outside because they have something else that they need to do. And all of the white people came outside, and they were standing over this body where this man was murdered. And what they did was pour gasoline on him. And the church folks came outside and watched his body burn while taking pictures and while giving snapshots, while they was doing all of those things, taking body parts to show that they have souvenirs. This is what white Christianity is all about. The origin of white Christianity is a power grab for white supremacy. The most radical expression of Jesus as a black person was, however, put forth by a young Congolese woman, and again, her name is Kempa Vita, who lived in the late 17th century and early 18th century. Through the missionary work of the Portuguese, Kempa Vita, who was a medicine woman, became a Christian. She became a Christian to show from the inside out that the Christians was not really Christians. And she pointed out to them, she taught them that Jesus and his apostles were black. Not just black, but black. And they was not only black, but everyone in that area knew that they was black. From the time of Salvador to the Salvadoran became the holy site of Kempa Vita, was accused of preaching heresy by the Portuguese. Those Portuguese missionaries accused her of preaching heresy. Why? Because they did not want the Africans to know that their Messiah was and still is black. So what they end up doing, as I told you earlier, the missionaries, they burnt her. The men burnt her in the stake, burnt her at the stake in 1706. The point of that was that the Vatican and the Catholic Church knew that Messiah was black. It was Ferdinand who made the separation of the Suez Canal to have all black folks to think that Messiah came from so-called the Middle East and so-called Israel. No, he came from North Africa. And while coming from North Africa, when he went back to Egypt, which is a part of North Africa, as the emperor said, we must kill all babies from the ages of 2 and under, they went back to Egypt. And when they went to Egypt, Mary, Joseph, and Messiah, they stayed there for a few years until the emperor died. And what's the point of that? They went there because they were black. They went there because they could not be found. If Messiah was white, it would have been obvious for them to find who he was and who he is because of his whiteness. But his whiteness was not there because Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, was never white, blonde hair, blue eyes. So Michelangelo painted a lie. And by doing that, he caused some of the Africans to think that Messiah was white. But we know today that Messiah was never white, and that Messiah came and died for all men's sin. Not just black men, but black, brown, whatever. The Word of God tells us that the Word says in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Messiah said he would, that none would perish, but that all would prosper. But it was the invention of whiteness that brought in race, brought in colorism, brought in whiteness, brought in all of these different types of things in order for whites to look at themselves as superior than any other group. When in actuality, they have less melanin than any other particular group. White cannot make black, but black can make every color on the color spectrum. So I want you to know, and I want you to be sure that you understand that that is not God's design. God is designed for all people to be saved. God is not a white supremacist. God does not support white supremacy. God loves everyone, and he's always reaching for us all. But when we look back and see what the white supremacist system did by inventing whiteness, what they did was put God's word into a spin cycle. And everybody's spinning around thinking they're doing the right thing, when in actuality, they're doing the wrong thing. We must allow ourselves to come to be what Christ wants us to be. And that is, God created one blood, all nations. One blood with all nations. And to my brothers and sisters who are black like me, black Hebrew Israelites, black Jews, because we're black and we're God's chosen people, does not give us the right to live a raggedy life. Does not give us a right to think we're better than everybody else. Nor does not give us a right to know that God will judge us just like he would judge everybody else. And that's why, right now, God is building a remnant of different people that believe in what Messiah has taught. I really trust God you can hear what God is telling you. The origin of white Christian supremacy. The origin of white Christian supremacy is of the devil. And when we can move past this, we can be what God needs for us to be. God bless you. God keep you. God strengthen you. And just understand, melanin determines a race. Intelligence determines a people that want to follow God. In Yeshua's name, God bless you. Until next time.